Now I'll go over war camps. Along with their selected warlord, all players will start the game with a war camp. War camps serve as the headquarters of each player's army. Without a war camp, leading and orchestrating a war campaign will be impossible. War camps serve as a reliable source of unit deployment, gold generation, provisioning of restocked members, health, and supplies, and provides defensive and offensive combat capabilities. Like with warlords, if a player's war camp is destroyed, that player will be eliminated from the game. Players should keep both their war camp and warlord protected throughout gameplay, else they risk being defeated. Each war camp is marked with a player number based on the order of warlord selection, which indicates the order in which each player's war camp takes their respective turn. Like with units, war camps can perform various abilities during their turn. War camps have two forms, that is, two sides of their battle map game piece. Each restricts which abilities can be performed based on whether the war camp is in encampment form or caravan form. The current form of war camp is determined by the current side that is being displayed by that war camp's battle map game piece. As an encampment, which is also the war camp's starting form, a war camp can perform the deploy ability but cannot perform move. As a caravan, a war camp can perform move but cannot perform deploy. In either form, both encampment and caravan form, a war camp can always perform attack and provision and has the choice of whether or not they want to convert to the other respective side. When starting the game, just after warlords have been selected, each player must then select their war camp's starting location on the battle map. The same order used for warlord selection must also be used, thus player 1, player 2, player 3, etc. When selecting a war camp's starting location, its game piece cannot occupy the borders of a settlement. That is, it has to be 2 or more spaces away from a settlement. In addition, each player's war camp game piece must also be 7 or more spaces away from each other. Players should give careful consideration to where their war camp is located, as it will further limit the location choices of each following player. All war camps must start the game in encampment form. After each player's war camp is placed, each player then places their warlord's battle map ID piece directly on top of their war camp. War camp turns are handled separately after unit and settlement turns, as indicated by the initiative table. War camps have no abilities that take an action. Also, war camp movement is a full turn ability that is only performable while in caravan form. All war camps start at level 1, but can have their level increased during gameplay. War camps do not have reference cards. Instead, refer to their player guide details for more information. Because of this, accumulation of damage and resource tokens for war camps is placed on each initiative table row. War camps have no defensive stats, that is, no vulnerabilities, immunities, or resistances. War camps will accumulate damage from any damage type. That includes life and death damage. War camps also have no attributes other than being a war camp. War camps ignore all terrain occupation effects, but terrain movement costs and free road movement can still be used or applied to war camps. Within the player guide, you'll find details on each of the war camp stats, as well as their stats as they scale with each increasing level. Each of these stats will have an icon that will represent that particular war camp stat and is also similar to that used by settlements. The most important stat of a war camp is its maximum defense points, or max DP. War camps, similar to warlords and elite units, have a maximum amount of health, in this case defense points. This value associated with war camps, which also does increase as a war camp gains levels, indicates the amount of damage that a war camp will need to accumulate in order to be destroyed. A war camp must be repaired in order to reduce this amount of accumulated damage. Now, war camps can automatically repair themselves during the Repair War Camp event. The amount repaired is based on their recovery rate stat. This stat is also utilized for when a war camp provisions and rests a warlord or elite unit, healing some amount of their health. Any battle map space that is within the war camp's listed border size stat value, i.e. that is within X spaces of the war camp's battle map piece, is considered inside the war camp's borders. A war camp's borders includes both ground and sky terrain. As a war camp moves, its effective borders move along with it. All spaces within a war camp's borders are available for targeting by that war camp's abilities. All units are valid targets for a war camp if they are within that war camp's borders. If the borders of a war camp or settlement overlap, then they can target and attack each other. Additionally, there are other abilities which reference borders as part of its effect. The gold per turn, or GPT stat, indicates the amount of gold that a war camp will generate for its owning player during the war camp collect event on the initiative table. The attacks per turn stat works identical to that of attacks per turn for units. It represents how many attacks a war camp's attack ability will make at a base damage of 1. Listed within a player guide, players will find the full details of each war camp ability that can be performed during the war camp's turn. The descriptions and effects of these abilities may differ for each level obtained by a war camp, so be sure to look up the one that correlates to the current level of your war camp. War camps can perform Deploy, which is a full turn ability and reads as follows. Pay gold to deploy up to X units within borders. War camps can deploy wild units if the unit's listed terrain is unoccupied and within borders. The value of X is based on the war camp's current level. This ability is only performable in encampment form. Follow the rules and conditions explained within unit deployment. Move is a full turn war camp ability and reads as follows. Move up to X spaces as mount. The value of X is based on the war camp's current level. This ability is only performable in caravan form. Free road movement is performed separately and in either encampment or caravan form. A war camp's battle map piece can occupy the same ground space of an ally or enemy unit and does not block their movement. War camp movement is, however, blocked by the battle map ID piece of other war camps, settlements, or units with the wall ability. Convert is a full turn war camp ability and reads as follows. Flip the war camp into caravan or encampment form. This ability is performable in either caravan or encampment form. A war camp's form is determined by whichever side is currently displayed face up on the battle map. Attack is a during turn ability for war camps and reads as follows. Attack up to X targets within borders. Deals Y damage types. Valid targets are units, war camps, and settlements. This ability can be performed while on the move. The value of X is based on the war camp's current level. The value of Y is based on the war camp's current level, which increases the number of damage types. For example, a level 1 war camp deals normal, fire, or ice damage. A level 2 war camp deals normal, fire, ice, magic, or death damage, and a level 3 war camp deals any damage type. Attack is performable in either caravan or encampment form. If the borders of an attacking war camp overlap with the borders of another war camp or settlement, then they can become valid targets for attacking. As a during turn ability, attacks can be performed in the middle of performing a move ability. If performed during a move, the effects of the attack must be resolved before movement can continue. As a reminder, only one damage type can be declared, which applies to all targets of a war camp's attack. Provision is a during turn ability performable by war camps. Provision reads as follows. Target up to X ally units within borders. Each unit can either rest, restock, or resupply. This ability can be performed while on the move. The value of X is based on the war camp's current level. This ability is performable in either caravan or encampment form. Restock and resupply does cost gold equal to the targeted unit's current upkeep cost. Rest does not cost gold. Only squad units will be restocked. Only squad and elite units can be resupplied, and that is those that utilize supply using abilities. Only warlords and elite units can be rested. As a during turn ability, provision can be performed in the middle of performing the move ability. If performed during move, the effects of provision must resolve first before movement can continue. Now, with regards to war camp movement and the terrain itself, similar to unit movement, war camps have the capability to move around the battle map. Unlike with units, war camp movement is not blocked by enemy or ally units. This allows war camps to move through and even occupy the same space as enemy or ally units. This also means that war camps do not block units from moving into and occupying their piece's battle map space. War camp movement is, however, blocked by other war camps and settlement pieces on the battle map. In addition, enemy units with the wall ability will block and prevent war camps from moving into their space. A war camp's caravan movement type is mount, which affects the distance it can traverse based on each terrain space's listed mount movement cost. If there is a nearby road-enhanced terrain, a war camp can perform the free road movement to move onto that space just like a unit could. Free road movement can be performed in either encampment or caravan form. War camps cannot gain or trigger any terrain occupation effects. For example, when a war camp performs an attack on a unit that is occupying sky terrain, the war camp will not gain the +1 attack per turn for range attacks against units that occupy sky terrain. For another example, a war camp that occupies desert terrain will not be damaged or have the double upkeep applied to them. Additionally, war camps will not gain the fire vulnerability, ice resistance, and magic resistance from occupying desert terrain. Only road-enhanced terrain will provide an effect by which war camps can benefit and take advantage of. Now let's talk about acquiring war tokens and leveling up your war camp. A war camp can be upgraded with improved stats and abilities by gaining level tokens. All war camps start at level 1 and can be upgraded up to a maximum of level 3. To level up a war camp, players must acquire resources in the form of war tokens. It takes 3 war tokens to exchange for 1 level token. Because war camps start at level 1, they will not have any level tokens on their initiative table row's level slot. It is on their respective initiative table row's level slot that each war camp will accumulate their war and level tokens. As a result, each war camp will never have more than 2 war tokens and 2 level tokens stored at these slots. The moment that a war camp acquires its 3rd war token, these 3 war tokens are immediately exchanged for 1 level token. When a war camp receives its 2nd level token, reaching level 3, it will no longer be able to accumulate any additional war or level tokens. The moment a war camp acquires a level token, its upgraded effects and stats are applied immediately. With each level token gained, the values of all war camp stats, that is its maximum DP, its recovery rate, its border size, its gold per turn, and attacks per turn all increase, and their ability effects will also improve. Players can still make use of war tokens should they already reach a level 3 war camp. When this occurs, players will have the option of exchanging each war token gained for 1 leadership. This option of exchanging war tokens for leadership is available to players at the very start of the game as well, even if their war camp is level 1. However, it should be cautioned that this is a one-way exchange. leadership cannot be converted back into war tokens. If a player wants to exchange a war token into leadership, it must be done at the moment the war token is to be gained. Players cannot retroactively convert their war tokens into leadership. Level tokens cannot be exchanged or converted and must remain as a level token for a war camp. There are 4 ways in which players can gain war tokens. By defeating another player, either by landing the killing blow on their warlord or destroying their war camp, the conquering player gains 3 war tokens. During the Influence the Public event, the player that wins the bid gains 2 war tokens. During the Concede event, if any player chooses to concede, all remaining players will gain 1 war token. Finally, when a player successfully pillages a settlement, in addition to gaining the pillaged gold, they also gain a number of war tokens based on the settlement's current level. So if it's a level 3 settlement that gets pillaged, that player will gain 3 war tokens. The full details on the benefits of pillaging a settlement are listed within the player guide. Note that when a war camp levels up, its maximum defense points will increase. However, this does not cause a change in the war camp's accumulated damage should any exist. Now let's go over assaulting a war camp. In order for a war camp to be assaulted by a unit, that unit must occupy the space within the war camp's borders. This can either be the ground or the sky. Additionally, a unit that targets a war camp with an attack cannot target anything else while performing their attack. This means that multi-targeting abilities like those of Area or Splash cannot be used to target a war camp. It is important to note that this restriction applies to units that are attempting to assault a war camp. When war camps or settlements target each other with an attack, they can also include other targets, such as units, if their attack ability allows for multiple valid targets. However, war camps and settlements must have overlapping borders in order to assault each other. As a reminder, war camps have no defensive stats, that is, no vulnerabilities, immunities, or resistances, and will accumulate damage from any damage type that includes life and death damage. In addition, terrain combat bonuses and penalty effects do not apply when attacking a war camp or when a war camp attacks. Regarding the war camp events that occur on the initiative table, let's go over recovery rate and repairing defense points. War camps cannot be healed by life or death damage, and will take and accumulate damage from these sources. In order to reduce or remove damage from a war camp, it must be repaired through a unique unit ability or through the war camp repair event on the initiative table. The amount of damage repaired during this event is based on each war camp's listed recovery rate value. Regarding collect, war camps will generate a reliable income of gold based on the listed gold per turn stat during the collect event on the initiative table war camp section. When this occurs, all players proceed to gain their respective gold directly from the bank based on their war camp's current level.